Welcome to the Buy Box Bandits podcast.
Welcome back to the Buy Box Bandits podcast. Today we have Steve, one half of Steve and Alexa from the Village FBA, who did 2.9 million, right around that in sales with OA and RA last year. So we're excited to dive into all that because they're a dynamic duo, gets after it, great presence on social media as well and all that. So thanks for joining us, Steve.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I remember it was October 2022 or October 2021. I was just starting to figure this stuff out, just starting to do like 15K a month profit, that kind of thing. Garrett the same way. And I log into Instagram and I see Alexa's page, 250K in sales, like up 100% month over month. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And everything. So it's glad we can finally connect and do a pod episode and all that. But you want to take us back to the beginning of how you guys got into this whole crazy world?
Yeah. So Alexa, my wife, actually started the account. She was working as a speech pathologist in the schools, and we were having another baby, and she really didn't want to go back the next school year. And so she kind of opened an account. She said, "Hey, I want to try this Amazon thing." And I had sold on eBay before. I've sold a lot of vintage toys going back to like when I was in high school in the, like 2003-ish. So I was on eBay for a long time, but and I was like, okay. And, but I mean, I was working full time. I was coaching kids, we're busy. And then COVID hit, and we'd started like right before COVID hit. And the job I was working then was in the travel industry. And so we shut down for a while. She wasn't going into school. And so I said, okay, let's just, try this Amazon thing, like, and see what happens. And then, within a few months, it was, it got pretty crazy right away. So it worked out.
And you started retail arbitrage from the beginning?
Yeah, at the beginning we were 100% RA. Eventually, obviously worked into some OA, and we do a little bit of wholesale now too, but we still do a ton of RA. It's a really big chunk of our business.
And you guys are out in Ohio, right?
Yeah, we're in Northeast Ohio.
Northeast Ohio. So like, I feel like not the most crazy populated portion of the country where you would think RA would be incredibly successful, or at least in terms of some people have limiting beliefs around being located there. I feel like in regards,
we're in an interesting spot. We're almost directly in the middle between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. So like to get like to downtown Pittsburgh or downtown Cleveland, it's almost exactly an hour. So we have the suburbs of both of those cities, 40 minutes to an hour away. So, either direction which you head, you can run into a lot of stores.
That makes sense.
I feel like nowadays, especially with a lot of the social media people talking, I think RA just gets a pretty bad rep in terms of the hustle and bustle, going out, scanning a bunch of items. So in terms of your guys' operation, what does that RA look like for you? Do you have a specific list of items you're going to purchase? Are you scanning shelves? What does that look like?
At this point now, like 3 years in, we pretty much just hit like really significant sales. And when there is like a great sale, we kind of just drop everything and hit it as hard as we can, and then recover a little bit, get things shipped in. And by then, we're on to the next sale. So, for us with RA, yeah, it's a little more work, but the margins are so much better. And by shopping really the sales the way we do, our buy cost is just so great. It's it's hard to beat what we can buy stuff for a lot of times.
And so you probably have some pretty good working relationships from all these stores that you go to with
For
managers
sure.
and
Yeah.
employees and stuff.
Yeah, especially a lot of the local people around here. We're located just outside of a city called Youngstown. So yeah, a lot of the local managers and stuff know us pretty well. And I'd say we're probably 75% RA. I mean, it's a lot. So.
And is
And
that,
have you got to the point where managers have your number and they can call you about specific deals or hold stuff for you?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. We have a few of those that are pretty friendly, and, not everybody gets it or appreciates it, but there's some out there that want to move stuff and want to kind of play that game. So, we're always open to that stuff. That's great for us.
absolutely. And is that in terms of like the actual, so I know you and Alexa work as a team, right? Are there other people going out and shopping for you, or is it mainly you guys in terms of actually getting the product?
No, I mean, we are, a lot of people probably think it's silly, but like I've had a lot of employees in different ventures in the past. I hate having employees. I don't really want to manage people, it's her and I. She kind of like today she's off taking the kids to school and doing stuff. So I'm just kind of working, but no shoppers. We do utilize on some OA stuff, like some family and friends that want to shop and like keep the cash back and credit card rewards and things like that. We'll have them do some shopping that way, but not really, no shoppers, no VAs. We do have some prep help, but not a ton. It's pretty much us.
And then like, how does the prep get done? Is it just a garage or a warehouse space?
Yeah, so we're just out of our house. We moved in January actually, so just about 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we just had a 2-car garage before, but the spot we're at now, there's a detached 4-car garage. So it's about 40 by 32. So that's totally Amazon. It's got a little bathroom in there, kitchen. So it's perfect for, people working out of there or ourselves.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
On the OA side, are you looking for more restockable, replenishable items, or is it sort of the same sort of mantra where you're just hopping from sale to sale and kind of just taking advantage of whatever prices you see?
Yeah, we do kind of twofold. One, we do have a prep center. So, it's in a tax-free state. So we do utilize some, sales tax arbitrage there. But the prep center is kind of like just enough to where, we keep it as an option, right? It's not like something where like, hey, I'm trying to get, 3,000-4,000 units to the prep center every month. If we get 500 to 1,500, I'm pretty happy. But I want to have it for when there's a great sale, when there's, something we can't pass up, using it. For the rest of it, no, I mean, it's not a lot of replenishable stuff. Our model is a lot of just one-off. So I try to use OA as like, we do a lot of toys, we do a lot of beauty, and I do some toy holds for Q4. So, let's say Macy's puts a toy on sale, it's a $20 toy, it's $5. Amazon matches, maybe I go on Amazon and buy 400, 600, 800, whatever I want to do, and then just kind of drip that inventory out throughout the year, hold it to Q4. With the extra space now, we have a lot of options with hold. So it's mostly OA is just to get like a mass quantity of something fairly cheap. That's generally what we're going for, and it's generally in the toy category.
Yeah, just to quantify the journey, could you walk us through like your 2020 sales and then 2021? We already got into 2022, just to kind of show the listeners quantifying the whole operation.
Yeah, so when we started out, we were very fortunate. We didn't need to take any money out of the business, so we didn't take any profit out for like the first 7-8 months. So we actually we hit 100,000 in sales 97 days in, and at the 365-day mark, we were just shy of $1 million. I believe it was like 968. So almost $1 million in the first year. Year 2, we did about 2 million, and then this last year, almost 2.9.
So you guys, yeah, so it was very quick that you saw that proof of concept and started really going hard with it.
Yep.
And was this the first business you guys have run, or did you have like prior experience with similar entrepreneurial ventures?
In terms of like online sales, other than my reselling stuff, like I said, we do a lot of toys. I kind of got into resale. I was in high school. I was like a sophomore, and I came across all my old like childhood toys in the basement and started looking them up on eBay. It's like, wow, this, some of the stuff's really worth money. Sold them, made a good bit of money, and then kind of started just messing around on eBay. And I was like, hey, I can buy like lots, like people's collections, and then sell them individually. So I ended up selling a lot of 80s toys for a lot of years, and did pretty well at that, and just kind of did that on and off. But no, in terms of Alexa and I, this was our first business venture together.
And the wholesale side of things, is that brand direct distribution? What's that operation look like? And are you actively seeking and opening new accounts as the weeks progress here in 2023?
Distribution, no real new accounts. Once again, so mostly toy based, and it's mostly quantity. It's a lot of times not all the time, but a lot of times at retail, at least for what I do, I can end up getting it cheaper retail at some point, but it's just about how many can I get, right? So,
Yeah.
trying to get some quantity on things that I think are can't miss, and then, holding till Q4, or, there's kind of a cycle, right? Something, at least for toys, comes out wholesale, it tanks, it stays tanked for 6 to 9 months, and then everybody's sold out, and who's ever left holding the inventory can make a pretty good buck. So there's a lot of items like that that are cyclical, that maybe get printed once a year, that you can do that with.
And you said you buy online arbitrage from Amazon, right? Amazon stuff.
Mm-hmm.
What are the logistical things you have to be cautious of in terms of, staying in the good graces of Amazon?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, the big thing, don't use Prime benefits.
Of course, yeah.
We have a separate business account that we use, and, just use the slower shipping. Only have one account. I know, a lot of people like to play the game and try to have a couple or whatever, and you can get away with some of that, but, we try to keep that pretty clean. Amazon's limited it a lot recently. There's a lot of business accounts that are seeing a lot of restrictions in buying, quantity restrictions. We haven't seen that yet, but who knows? I know a lot of people that are seeing that. So the main thing is just, don't just like return stuff. Don't use Prime benefits. Just keep it clean.
Are you using that tracking feature much, on Keepa?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So a lot of it, kind of both ways, right? If you get that Keepa alert of, a price on whatever, okay, this is normally a $20 thing. When it gets to like $8 or lower, I want an alert, because that's where I want to buy. And similarly, for a lot of our holds, we'll use it in reverse, right? Once the price gets to $30, $35, okay, that's the price where I want to sell. So that kind of alerts us to send stuff in. So yeah, we use a lot of Keepa alerts.
And that works for you guys because you don't have to pay a prep center, right? Because you're holding at a specific price. You don't, and you can just kind of put it away in the storage right in the back corner. And then once you get that alert, send it in and it's game on. Is it 100% FBA, you guys?
Yeah, we are almost, 99.999% FBA. And, we'll FBM some stuff here and there, but largely it's just, and FBM's great. There's nothing wrong with it. But for us, the way we like to operate, FBA is just kind of it.
Absolutely. And then, so with $1 million in sales your first year, you couldn't have done too much wrong. But for just so our listeners, so they can gain some insights, what would things you would do differently if you could go back knowing what you know now, just in terms of that initial, whether that be first few months, first year, first 6 months?
Yeah, I think we ignored some things we should have done for far too long. One, get a prep center. I think we waited. I mean, we didn't get a prep center until, we started our account in February of 2020. We didn't get a prep center until September of 21. So, certainly waited too long there. Waiting too long to get a repricer. That's
a big one. That's a lot. That's something I hear from a lot of people.
Yeah, especially with how cheap some of the options are, and what a difference it can make in your sales.
Yeah, like $15, $25. Yeah, like one ace and one extra sale a day easily covers that.
Exactly. So, waited too long for that. Outsourcing some of the prep, like we don't have a ton of prep help, but we have 2 people that prep for us, and they work about 25 to 30 hours a week total between the both of them. So, waiting probably too long to get some help there. But other than that, I mean, in terms of products, no like crazy big mistakes. I think it was hard back then with COVID. They stopped, you couldn't send things in FBA for a while. And there was definitely things we bought that when that was lifted, we were like, oh man, that, that might not work out too well. But other than that, it's, you're not gonna hit on 100% of your products. You're going to have some misses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then where are the current bottlenecks for you guys?
I think the bottleneck is just, it's interesting because it is one and it isn't. We're limited right now just by not so much Alexa, but more my willingness to want to continue to grow and doing the things that we have to do to grow. Like we would need more prep help. We would need maybe an employee, maybe somebody that, like right now I print every label for every shipment. I box up every shipment. Like I do all of that. To grow, I can't do that, right? I just need to buy. I understand that that's the best use of my time, but do I want to get somebody to do that right now? No. Should we have some VAs? Yeah, probably. Do we? I don't want to manage them. And so like, we just don't. So I think the bottleneck is probably, just not wanting to manage people.
Yeah. A lot of the people that I've worked in the past, and I'm sure Miles as well, are typically, current RA sellers looking to make that transition to OA, wholesale, etc. What's your sort of 30-second minute elevator pitch as to, okay, well, maybe you should stay in RA, maybe that could work large scale, and kind of what that looks like for them?
Yeah, I mean, my pitch for RA is just, we don't have a lot of the issues you'll see on the socials or wherever, products tanking, this and that. We just don't find a lot of that.
Nothing that's good. Like if you're good at buying, you don't worry about any of that stuff.
I
Like,
agree.
on a large scale, you just don't. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and it's almost always the people complaining about that are below a certain sales number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the whatever the curve's called. Like the guy at the bottom's like, my products never tank. He doesn't have any products. Then the guy in the middle's like, oh, everything is going down. There's so much competition. Then the guy at the top's like, oh, I don't worry about any of that stuff.
Yeah, I think, I think you have to kind of stay ahead of, zig when other people zag, right? Like a few years ago, the thing to start out with was use books or, Kohl's bras or like things like that. Now with the ease of ungating, everybody's right into brands they know, right? Everybody day one, they're into Nike, they're into things like that. And so, not saying you can't make money on that stuff. We sell tons of Nike stuff, but it just, you have to be aware of kind of where the masses are headed. And a way to prep is easy. If you're good at it, you can do really well. But I know, if we're doing almost 3 million of RA and the net is, 14 to 16.5%, why do I want to change that? Why do I want to, I'm good with that for a while. We can do that for hopefully another decade. And, then we can do whatever we want. We'll be set at that point, but
it is interesting too, like being really deep in it. You can see there's certain types of products that are RA and certain that are, I don't know why retailers do it that way, but I just think it's like how their like SKU distribution works or something like that. But they're like certain retailers will keep, like whether it be like outlets or something, like there'll be stuff that's discounted at outlets that's full price online and vice versa. I think it might be like some way they try to get people to spend more that compare pricing between outlets and online or something. I don't really know. With that and everything. And then if we want to get a little bit more kind of deep into the RA side of things, like what are some mistakes like beginner RA sellers or people that maybe leave it too early are typically making, whether that be store relationships, learning different things within the websites, expiration dates, whatever?
I think one thing that people really push is like, go to the store and just scan everything. And I couldn't disagree more with that. I think you need to start with what you know, right? There's something that you know or are interested in, some category. So I don't care whether it's pet or apparel or sporting goods or beauty or whatever you're into, right? Whatever you know the best, start there, right? You already know more. Like we don't do a lot of pet, and there's nothing wrong with it, but we don't have any pets, never really had any pets. Like I don't know anything about it. It's heavy. So I just kind of leave pet alone. Like, I don't think when I started, I should just go to Walmart and scan, the 4 pet food aisles just because, hey, go scan everything. Like, I think you need to, I think in this business in general, the more you can kind of get specialized and really be a master at something, whether it's a handful of brands, whether it's a category, you have that edge over everybody else who's just kind of general. And it's okay to be general. We sell almost every category, but if you're a master in a few, I think you can really set you apart. So probably just, hey, go scan everything. I just don't really subscribe to that very much.
Have you ever had any issues in store of managers, employees trying to limit quantity?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things. I think Alexa gets away with it a little more than me. I think it's easier for, like a cashier will see her and, oh, you must have a lot of kids, and they'll see me and they'll, kind of look and, what are you doing? And we're doing the same thing. So, it's one of those things where I try not to lie, but I think it's always just easy to say yes. People have a lot of assumption. They'll say, hey, are you doing this, doing that? Yep, you're right. Yep, that's what I'm doing. And it just kind of keeps the conversation moving. When you say no and you're a little more secretive, they ask more questions. So I just try to get them to stop asking questions, basically, if I can tell they're, not super friendly to the reselling game. But it has gotten to the point a few times where, like, hey, like, you are a reseller, you're at Walmart, you're at Target, like, what do you think your job is? What do you think your business does? It resells goods, like, we're the same. So
Except
Do you do much at Target in store? Because that's one place that in store has gotten a lot of bad publicity in terms of checking out and stuff.
yeah, I mean, not a ton, some for sure. Like, once again, back to the toy stuff, there's a lot of Target exclusive toys, and we're pretty big on selling like anything exclusive, just because there's a natural inclination for some arbitrage there. But Target, it's hit or miss. I'm pretty good here with my local Target, but our local Target also, like, stinks. It's just a crappy Target. So, I try to do what I can to limit suspicion. But yeah, definitely, that's especially around the holiday time, Black Friday time, Target's really tough in terms of multiples. But the rest of the year, you can kind of get through it okay, as long as you're not like too crazy there.
Got you. And then in terms of identifying those sales you were talking about, are those mainly just holidays, or are those like asking employees, hey, you have any idea when some big markdowns are going to happen? Like, really getting into the weeds of it, or is it a combination of that stuff?
Yeah, I think always, asking an employee, I'll use some recent examples. Like, we don't do a ton of like TJX brand stores, but we do it in January and July, right? They have their big yellow tag clearance. I call it, like, normal clearance stuff is red tag. Twice a year they move it to yellow tag. So, like, I was checking out the other day at a TJ Maxx I don't normally go to, and I was just kind of talking to the cashier, and I said, hey, do you know if, like, they're going to mark this down anymore? She's like, oh yeah, next Monday it goes down again, and then the week after that it goes down again. Like, so just kind of being friendly. And
You go put that on the back of the shelf so you can come back next Monday and pick it up.
Something like that.
Yeah, go hide it. No, actually, that one I wasn't getting back to. I was only there for another sale. Like, Kohl's just had that 50% off all clearance sale.
Yeah, it was like 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah, a bunch of my guys were cleaning that up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Alexa was actually out of town, kind of on a sourcing trip, but another thing we do, so it was tough. I had the boys here by myself, but we went out a few nights, we did it. And then when she got home, I hit it pretty hard. But, stuff like that, like, that wholesale 50% off clearance, if you know what you're doing, you know what you're buying, you can't beat that stuff. You can't find prices like that. Online was matching some of it, but and that's where, like, I'll look at what's online and almost stay away from it. Like, all right, I know everybody's gonna buy the stuff online. What am I seeing in store that I'm not seeing online? That's the stuff I'm gonna go for, right? And just try to insulate myself a little bit more in terms of price.
Got you. And so a few years ago, I believe you said you're working in the travel industry. Alexa's working in the schools. Okay, we are going to quit all that and we're going to flip toys on Amazon from TJ Maxx. What does that conversation look like? And in terms like family members and stuff, like what did they think of everything?
It's funny because I was just at my parents' house last night, and they were at one of our kind of distant, from me anyway, family members who passed away. So they were just at a funeral the day before. And a lot of my aunts and uncles still were like, so what does Steve do? Like, we don't understand, like I said, we just moved into this house and whatever. And like, people just don't get it. In terms of like parents, right away, it was like, they trusted us, but it was like, okay, it's COVID. This isn't going to last. There's no way this keeps up. Right. And I was like, no, this is, like there's people who've been doing this for a long time. And there's one lady that we run the village with, Tracy. She's been selling on Amazon since 2000.
That's amazing.
Since it started. She's pretty awesome. So like, there's people that have been doing this for a long time. If you're good at it, you can make it work. And so then, as we kind of continued and they kind of saw like, hey, they're doing okay. Like they're not in the street. Right. But still, I think people are they don't understand that. They think Jeff Bezos sells every item on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's this massive thing. They don't get the third-party sellers or, more than half everything on Amazon and all that. So but they're not going to get it at this point. I don't think. They're just usually older and, they don't know.
And then in terms of like the whole thing over a few years, like you completely reinvented like all your day-to-day and everything, but I just like the way you talk about it so casually, like it wasn't this like monumental thing. Like, you just put one foot in front of the other and you just like gradually get into it and everything. Like looking back, was it that hard, or do you think a lot of the stuff in people's heads about, reinventing themselves, career changes, starting new things is really just all mental, and if you just get going, you'll just figure it out basically?
I mean, I think, if you want to figure it out, I think all the information's out there, right? It's,
Of course,
Amazon's kind of like a solved equation. It's all out there, right? You just have to go find it. I think our struggles were maybe more the work from home stuff. I'm somebody who I like to go to work every day. Like I said, I coached high school basketball for 14 years. Like I was doing that. So, I was out of the house a lot. So to go to that from that to COVID of we're inside, and we still went out to stores and stuff, but just not as much. Took a few months to kind of get going. And even now, up until we had this new space that's totally separate from our home, like we had stuff in our house, inventory in the house all the time. It's in the garage, it's everywhere. The kids are running around boxes, and that can be hard mentally. And I think maybe until we moved, we didn't realize how hard it was at certain points. So definitely make sure, you're good with all that and you're working on all that stuff. But no, I mean, it's, you said it, one foot in front of the other, just kind of put in the effort every day, be consistent, and be thoughtful about what you're doing, and you can make it work.
And in the scope of 23, what does that look like in terms of numbers? Are you looking to make any significant changes in terms of your business structure? Is it pretty much operations as normal heading into the new year?
It's pretty normal. I think just with, the change of moving into the new space, I think we can push for 4 million. I'm not sure if we'll get there, but I think we can get pretty close. I didn't really have the space to buy and hold a lot of things like I wanted to. There's opportunity there, and we had the capital. It just didn't come together in terms of space. And I didn't really want to get like, a storage facility or open up a warehouse or, anything like that. That just wasn't appealing at the time. So we just kind of didn't buy. But now we have a lot of space to do that. So I think we can, especially just kind of, Q4 is just such a magical time for sellers. I think people really undervalue, the velocity and the increased price at the same time. And everybody just runs out of stock. Everybody runs out of inventory. So, having more ready for then is going to be the biggest change. And hopefully that will propel us to push for that 4 million mark this year.
Yeah, and either way, at that 14 to 16% range, unless you are making, create the highest paid high school basketball coach, I assume a significant income increase over a few years ago too, just in general.
Yeah. Alex had a good job. I had a good job. We did fine, but this is, like I'll hear, we were on a call in our group with a guy who I love, but he does wholesale, and he was talking about kind of the building he was in, and he was trying to buy it from the landlord, but he didn't know if he was going to sell it to him, and if he sold it to someone else, he was probably just going to close up and go do something else. And like that thought to me when he said that, I was like, man, I can't imagine right now doing anything else. Like, and there's some other business ventures that I'm into, but in terms of like our day-to-day money-making thing, like this is it. And if you're really doing well at it, I don't see why you would go do something else, in my opinion. Now, obviously everybody's different, but so when people say, yeah, I'll just move on, I'll do something else, and I don't know, it's
More,
pretty.
more opportunity for us, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And everything. But either way, right? I see the arbitrage stuff as a great way to win your time back. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
what some people, whether it be they don't want to drive around or they don't want to be on the computer all day. Like there's a ton of ways to make money, right? Whether that be like Amazon, other stuff. And I think the arbitrage is a great way to, win back your time and everything. You can scale like you have, but that's like for anyone listening, like you just got to keep going and put one foot in front of the other. And then, you look back, a couple years later and get some pretty good stuff going. And everything like that. What's it like working with your spouse in terms of like whether that be differentiating tasks or just overall like getting to spend more time together? I'm curious because I'm sure some people either would like to do it or maybe don't like the idea to do it, but would love to learn a little bit more about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be good for some, it can be detrimental to others. I think for most it's kind of a mix. For us it's been pretty good. There's a few things that like only I do. There's a few things that really only she does. But for the most part, we share a lot of the sourcing and stuff like that. Like I do all the repricing and a lot of the computer stuff. She does handle like all the account health. So we have our different tasks, but we come together on a lot of it too. Yeah, it can be a challenge, like you're with each other already all day, at work, and then work ends, right? But it doesn't really end.
Work done that. Work that. Life is work.
Yeah, it is. And that's, I think that's maybe why for me, you said like downplay it a little bit. Yeah, like life is, like people ask about goals and different things, and like I'm not super good at that. I wake up, I work every day.
Your thing, yeah.
Well, that's the important part though. The goals aren't the important part. The wake up and work every day, that's the important part.
Yes. And you mentioned winning your time back. Absolutely. I think for us, I don't know if I spend any more or less time working than I did before, but it's the flexibility of that time.
Yeah.
It's so great.
Yeah, it's not constrained to that 9 to 5
Yeah.
hours or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, if one of the kids have an appointment today or something going on at school or whatever, or I just don't want to work, or we want to go on vacation for a week, or if I want to go play golf or whatever, like just go do it. I'll work later.
That's what life's all about, being able to do that. And you got to work hard to be able to do that. But like working hard is an important part of life too. You gotta put those pieces together so you can prioritize when it makes sense to. And on that, when did you get on Twitter? And because I've been following Alexa for years on Instagram. I don't think we only connected on Twitter like a year ago or so.
Yeah, probably around then. We started the Village. And to just briefly explain, so Alexa, myself, Tracy, who I mentioned, who's a 20-year Amazon seller, and then a girl named Sarah, who's another 7-figure seller. We run it's called the Village. It's just a Facebook group. We're kind of like, we help people scale. We're not so much like, hey, we're a bolo group, we're going to share all these things. There's none of that. It's more mindset, it's more tactics, and it's more just how to scale. So we started that about a year ago, right? I think last February. So then it was like Alexa was on Instagram and she was like, well, what are you going to do? And I was like, well, okay, I'll get on Twitter and try to. And I don't tweet a ton. I'm really bad at it. Like I'm really bad at just thinking about it and stopping and doing it during the day. But I'm on there a little bit and try to interact, and made some good connections with some people there, and it's been pretty good.
How many people in the Facebook group?
We have about 150 members right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And you have weekly calls, monthly calls?
We have at least twice a month. So it's, we try to keep it reasonable. It's $37 a month. Like today, actually just in a few hours here, we have a call. So one thing that our members really asked for was kind of content around Walmart. Like a lot of them got into doing Walmart this past Q4. So we actually have a call with a guy who works at DataSpark, which is basically the Keepa for Walmart. So we have that coming up here at 2:00. So we do things like that, you know, where people can get on and ask questions, and we try to keep it topical, whether, you know, this time of year we'll go over like tax stuff, a lot of account health stuff, right? Post Q4, it's always a thing. We'll talk about that. And we will do too, like live source with me's and things like that, where people can see that for the more beginner level. But we try to keep it, a lot of our members are pretty established. You know, they might do 40, 50, 60,000 a month, but they want to get to that $150,000 a month mark. So they have an account, they're going, they know what they're doing. They just need help, you know, getting to that next mountain.
Got you. And then where can everyone find you and Alexa on social media? I'll give all the plugs.
Yes, she is on Instagram at the other Alexa, and I am on Twitter. And see, this is how bad I am. I don't even know my Twitter handle.
It like the or something.
I have to look. It's
Yeah.
right here. It is at the village_AMZ.
AMZ. Okay, cool. Well, thanks a lot for coming on, man. I had no idea about your story or anything like that. So that shows you need to tweet more as well.
Yeah,
And we hope we answered in the pod, and we'll do another one in the future and everything. So thanks a lot for coming on. And
Awesome.
I hope you guys and everyone listening has a great day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thanks,
thanks, man.